Here are the top players that you should prioritize adding to your fantasy football roster following all of the action that we saw in Week 1, including whether or not you should consider using your waiver wire priority or your blind bidding dollars. J.K. Dobbins is alive at last. He handled 13 touches, including 3 catches on 4 targets for 139 scrimmage yards and 1 touchdown in Week 1. He's very clearly the best back in a Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman offense that wants to run the ball as much as possible. Greg Roman's offenses have never finished lower than 9th in rushing attempts in the 10 years that he's been an offensive coordinator in the NFL. J.K. Dobbins is absolutely worth spending waiver priority on, especially if you're needy at running back. What is up, Isaiah Likely? Welcome to the party. Isaiah Likely caught 9 of 12 targets for 111 yards and 1 touchdown in Week 1. And like I mentioned in my last episode, episode 35, that was not a fluke. Isaiah Likely played 66% of the offensive snaps, where he previously had never played more than 44% of the offensive snaps in an entire season. And this was in a game where fellow tight end Mark Andrews played 74% of the offensive snaps himself. Traditionally speaking, Isaiah Likely's fantasy football relevance has always been directly tied to whether or not Mark Andrews is or isn't healthy. And this week, Week 1, Mark Andrews was more than healthy, and Isaiah Likely still feasted. This usage is here to stay, and he is absolutely 100% worth waiver priority or blind bidding dollars, especially if you need a tight end. Tank Bigsby handled 12 carries for 73 scoreless yards in Week 1, surprisingly finishing just 2 touches shy of presumed backfield leader Travis Etienne, who had 14 touches of his own. And as much as that was a surprise, it wasn't a fluke. Doug Peterson has always been the type of head coach who prefers a running back by committee type of approach. And if you want more details on that, you can always check out my Jacksonville Jaguars preview. You can check out my notes in my draft guide. But this is not a fluke. This type of usage is here to stay. And Tank Bigsby carries massive, massive upside should anything happen to Travis Etienne. He is worth a waiver priority claim or blind bidding dollars if you're feeling a bit needy and need some depth at running back, or if Tank Bigsby has a chance to end up in your starting lineup. Rookie Bucky Irving handled 11 touches of his own, including 2 catches on 3 targets for 76 scoreless yards. It very much looks like he is going to offer standalone flex value in fantasy football leagues on an above-average Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. And of course, there's big-time upside should anything ever happen to Rachaad White. Bucky Irving is very much worth spending waiver priority if you're needy and need some help at running back. Jaleel McLaughlin is looking every bit flex-worthy in PPR leagues after catching 5 of 5 targets while the Denver Broncos trailed in the second half to the Seattle Seahawks, something they figure to do frequently in 2024. If you're needy at running back, Jaleel McLaughlin is definitely worth a look and somebody that you should consider spending waiver priority or blind bidding dollars on after Week 1. Ty Chandler handled 11 touches in Week 1, including 3 targets and 3 catches for 42 scoreless yards, and he looks like a guy who's going to offer standalone RB3 or flex value with upside for more if anything were to happen to Aaron Jones. If you're needy at running back, Ty Chandler is absolutely worth a look and absolutely worth waiver wire priority or blind bidding dollars. Wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson tied for second in the entire NFL in Week 1 targets with 12, catching just 6 of them for 44 scoreless yards, and it's not going to be pretty while Daniel Jones is throwing the football. But the former second-round pick was one of my favorite wide receiver prospects in 2022, and he should be the Giants' clear-cut second option in the passing game behind only flashy rookie Malik Nabers. And again, it's not going to be pretty with Daniel Jones throwing the ball, but Wan'Dale Robinson could absolutely offer wide receiver 3 value in PPR leagues, especially in games where the Giants will be losing, which, let's be honest, will be rather frequently. He's not somebody I'm rushing to the waiver wire to get, but if I'm needy or desperate at wide receiver, Wan'Dale Robinson is about as good a flyer as you can find on the waiver wire after week 1. Kenneth Walker left Sunday's game with an abdominal injury, never returning and thrusting Zach Charbonnet into a role where he was able to finish with 10 touches, including 2 catches on 3 targets for 41 scrimmage yards and 1 touchdown. Now that said, it sounds like Kenneth Walker's going to be okay. He's going to be ready to go for week 2, albeit with the risk of some re-injury. Now, Zach Charbonnet remains a possible league winner should anything ever happen to Kenneth Walker, but he is likely to struggle to continue to offer standalone flex value, and because of that, he's not somebody that I'm rushing to spend any sort of waiver wire priority or blind bidding dollars on, but he would be number 1 or number 2 in terms of bench stashes that I would rush to grab once I wake up on Wednesday morning and the waiver wire has already processed. Demarcus Robinson played 92% of the Rams' offensive snaps in week 1, catching 4 of 7 targets for 42 scoreless yards, and it sounds like Puka Nacua is at best week to week, making it likely he's going to miss some time. Demarcus Robinson could definitely step up and have some big weeks as Matthew Stafford's number 2 wide receiver, at least for a couple weeks. If you're needy at wide receiver, Demarcus Robinson is definitely worth a look on the week 2 waiver wire. Alexander Mattison handled 9 touches in week 1, but more importantly than that, he caught 4 of a really healthy 6 targets, serving as the Raiders' pass-catching back. He's offering PPR flex value right out of the gate, and of course there's some bigger upside if anything were to ever happen to Zamir White. The Raiders figure to trail more frequently than they lead, thus falling into pass-heavy game script, and as of right now, it looks like Alexander Mattison could be the main beneficiary of that if he's going to be the team's primary pass-catching back. He's not somebody that I'm rushing to the waiver wire or spending any sort of priority on, but he is somebody that I'm trying to grab Wednesday morning after waivers have already run. I have about 8 more names on this list of players that I am targeting once I wake up on Wednesday morning. If you're interested in the list, just head over to my Patreon. I'm giving it away for free. The link to my Patreon is right in the show notes below. But a couple defenses that I recommend targeting once you wake up on Wednesday morning after the waivers run. If you're looking for some defenses to stream, this is my preferred order. Baltimore Ravens, Los Angeles Chargers, Pittsburgh Steelers, Seattle Seahawks, New York Jets, Jacksonville Jaguars, Indianapolis Colts, Dallas Cowboys, Denver Broncos, Houston Texans, San Francisco 49ers, and Washington Commanders. All of those teams have very good matchups in week 2 that would be a really nice plug and play off the waivers if you're looking for defensive help in your fantasy football lineups. That's going to be all for today. Again, if you want the full list, if you want it in written form, just visit my Patreon page. I gave it away for free. You can find the link to my Patreon down in the show notes below. Hopefully you found this helpful. Hopefully you land some hidden gems off the waiver wire going into week 2. Historically speaking, week 1 is the most important week for waiver wire claims. So hopefully you're able to land some gold, improve your team, and make it even better. I'm Mikey Hinninger from Basement Brewed Fantasy Football. I will see you on the fantasy football field in week 2. Cheers. This brew is for you.